For the first time in 2022, we are live from the Darien High School Stadium Field with varsity football. Tonight, the Darien Blue Wave will host the Bridgeport Central Hilltoppers. Both teams entering unusually at 0-1, and a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Braden Shank joined alongside me, Michael Mercine. And Michael, we were at Dowling Field, as the graphic says. Last week, Darien, they fell in that one. What does the Wave need to do to come out here and try to beat the Hilltoppers?
They just need to win with style, honestly. This Darien team's a lot bigger and is a lot better practice than this Bridgeport team, and they need to come in and they need to show up. They need to show, what type of team they are. They need to show that they have that winning spirit and that winning mentality, and they need to make sure, they need to affirm to themselves that, they can beat a team like Bridgeport, because to beat Bridgeport, or to beat teams like Norwalk and Greenwich, you have to be able to start with teams like Bridgeport.
Last week, these teams met in Week 2 over at John F. Kennedy Stadium in Bridgeport, and that game was all Darien, 47-0. But now they will meet once again in Week 2. Both teams lost in their opening week. Bridgeport Central, they fell on Saturday to Bullard Havens Colby Co-op. They lost that game 32-12, and Darien, of course, fell to St. Joseph 14-0. So one of these teams will be picking up their first win here at Darien High School, and crowd still filing in. How does it feel here to be back at Darien High School, especially after the magical season last year, getting the home opener today? What's the feeling inside this stadium, Michael?
Oh, it feels great. Everybody here, not everybody can make it up to the St. Joe's game because it's quite far from Darien. But, people are coming in today. They're getting ready to see football probably for the first time this year. We got the band out. We had them running out with the band playing. And there's definitely a special feeling out here that, people are ready for some good football.
So Darien, the section in the blue out, if you will, and you mentioned the band, longtime director Jonathan Grauer doing a great job with that program. They'll be playing. You'll be able to hear them on our mics. The captains will meet at midfield. Of course, the 4 captains for Darien this year: Leighton Reeser, Jake Wilson, James Tom, and Jack Barber. And they're meeting the captains for Bridgeport Central: Jason Villa, Wellington De Silva, Amadeus Bonilla, and Michael Hemmings. Of course, the 2 honorary captains, but should be a good afternoon for football. The weather, pretty sunny out here. Not really a cloud in the sky. It was supposed to be a little colder today, but it's not as hot as it was last week.
No, definitely not. Definitely much better weather for football. Not hot. You're probably not going to see as much cramping and dehydration as we saw last week at St. Joe's. But these teams, they're still going to need to hydrate. They're still going to need to go out there, and it doesn't matter the weather. They're going to need to play their best.
They will indeed. And out of the coin toss, we'll see who will get the opening kick. Teams will decide. Darien will be in their home blue jerseys for the first time this season, and Bridgeport Central in their road whites, as the teams will break the huddle. Bridgeport Central deferred, and Darien will be receiving the opening kick. So we're just about ready for football. The teams will huddle up their sides. And how does a team like Darien, Michael, we've mentioned that loss last week, what do you think the mentality's been for them all week, coming in 0-1, and something that they haven't seen since 2009, entering Week 2 0-1?
The mentality is win. It's as simple as that. I know that's pretty simple, but they're coming up against a team, Bridgeport, which historically Darien has played very well against Bridgeport. And so if they want to, tell themselves, if they want to show to everybody, including themselves, that they're not much different from the teams of the past, the team that beat Bridgeport last year, then they should come out and they should have a good showing at Bridgeport. So they want to show well against Bridgeport, and they want to win this game.
Also, this is the first time since 2013 Darien will enter a match that they are unranked in the Game Time CT polls. They were number 2 entering St. Joe's last week, and then starting here this week, unranked, dropping out of the top 10. So Darien has a lot to prove to everyone out there, as we will now send you down to the field with the magnificent Blue Wave Band and the national anthem. The old tradition at Darien High School, the flower being thrown by the student section never gets old, and it feels great to be back home, Michael Mercine.
Yeah, I mean, that's one home tradition that's never going to die, no matter whether or not you're coming to a game 0-1, 1-0, 5-0, or 0-5.
I mean, it's funny because I thought it was a blue out, but it looks like we're all covered in white right now.
Yeah, that's what the flower does to you. Turns any game into a whiteout.
So Bridgeport Central, again, deferred. They will be kicking off to Darien to get us started on this Saturday afternoon from Darien High School. Game that Bridgeport will hand it over to their kicker, Ethan Scott, the junior. Number 15, Scott, one of their running backs. You'll look out for him. And number 31, Malachi Buchanan, who will be in the backfield with their first-year quarterback and captain, Amadeus Bonilla. But that is Bridgeport Central. Darien will get the first try at the offense. It is going to be interesting, Michael, because watching film from week 1 with Bridgeport Central, their kickoff game, a lot of low-lining kicks, squib kicks. So it's going to be interesting if Darien did their homework and is not expecting a traditional, kickoff necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think this Darien team, very smart coaching staff, well studied, and there we go. There's a low kick.
Squib kick. Picked up at the 40-yard line by McGuckin, and he will be taken down almost immediately at the 40-yard line, and that is how we will get started. But again, it's an interesting approach that Bridgeport Central takes, not looking for the kick to the end zone, but just that low-lining kick, and they will be stopping McGuckin at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, it's got to be something to do with their worry about long returns. And if they don't think that they may not have the tools to stop a long return, then it's probably smarter to do a squib kick and get them down early.
So Darien will now take over on the 40-yard line, and here we go. First play of the game, Jake Wilson will rush it all the way down to the other 40-yard line. A big first rush for Jake, and he struggled in week 1, only getting 57 yards last week, and he picks up a lot on his first carry.
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of trouble last week. St. Joe's defense came out. They were big. They were ready to play, even with the loss that they had faced. But now Jake's coming up against a team that's a little bit less experienced, and he's gonna hopefully be able to run through them better.
So first play of the game, Wilson takes him up to the 40. Now Dahl will set up twin receivers on the play. He will once again hand it off to Wilson, and Wilson will pound the running game, taking it up the middle. And it's also interesting in that week 1 game, Bridgeport Central, Bullard Havens, the Tigers, they rushed the ball the entire second half, did not have one pass. So they were playing a rush defense and still managed to give up 236 rushing yards.
Yeah, and so, Darien sees that, and they're probably going to like the rush much more. Wilson's a good runner. He's a hard runner. He hits holes pretty well, but he's also pretty good out in open space. And so getting the ball to him is going to be imperative.
Dahl will drop back his first pass of the game. He has a lot of time, and he will rifle the pass over the middle, just over the head of number 5, Brady Picorni. And an incomplete pass to get Simeon Dahl's day started.
Yeah, that's one of those passes that we might see a lot of. Darien's offense, very big offensive line. They've been tooling with it this week. And so if the quarterback's going to get a lot of that time, then we're going to see a lot of those opportunities for receivers to shake coverage and to get very open, very deep down the field.
So Dahl hands it off to Wilson once again. Wilson will go up the middle. He stays up with it. And Jake Wilson was pound his way into the red zone up to the 16, and Darien's got some life in their first drive.
Yeah, I mean, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I think Darien's seeing these runs are going to definitely be effective, and the Wildcats last week, their entire second half was running. Why don't we try rushing too?
So the ball will be at the 17-yard line, 1st and 10. Dahl will drop back, try his luck with the pass again. Short screen pass over to Wilson. He'll make the catch. Wilson will stay up with it, dodge a couple tackles, and take his way up to the 5-yard line. Jake Wilson has been getting a majority of these Darien yards, and they continue to keep the ball moving.
Yeah, they're letting Darien be a lot more creative with their play calling. Last week we were getting a lot of early passes with third and 10s and general third and longs. And so changing this play calling up, starting screens, starting with a run, it's helping Darien to even if they do get stopped before the first down line, to get closer and to be in better situations on third down.
So Dahl will be accompanied in the backfield by Wilson. He will hand it off to Wilson, and Jake Wilson will be taken down at the 1-yard line, setting up the second down. This is something that Bridgeport Central is looking to make a big stop on their opening possession.
I believe this is also Darien's first goal line play of the season.
That is true. Darien had 2 red zone opportunities last week against St. Joseph. It was a Tucker Stevens missed field goal, and then an interception is what resulted for Darien. So they're looking to change their fortunes on their 3rd red zone opportunity of the season. Wilson, Picorni, and Dahl in the backfield. Dahl will hand it off to Wilson. He will dive and score. Touchdown, Darien.
That's solid blocking. You know, Wilson still had to go through one defender, but you know they opened a pretty solid hole, and all he had was the linebacker, and he made it through.
Jake Wilson powers up the middle and finds his way in the end zone for the first Darien touchdown of the season. And that's just a big-time play by a big-time running back.
Yeah, I mean, I think he looks like he's going to shine today.
And now here's Tucker Stevens on for the PAT. Again, missed his one opportunity last week, but Stevens gives it the run-up and right through the uprights. He makes his first kick of the season, and Darien goes up 7-0 on the first possession.
Yeah, so let's see if Bridgeport can come in on this drive and sort of reverse their fortunes. You know, Bridgeport, they have a game today because they're coming in against this very athletic Darien team, and Darien has a chip on its shoulder, right? Darien hasn't been 0-1 in a very, very long time, and so Bridgeport's going to have to play that much harder, and they're going to have to match Darien's energy if they're going to want to, you know, put up a competitive game.
It will indeed for Darien. The 7-play drive, 60 yards, brings them in the end zone, and they go up 7-0 on the Hilltoppers. And now, Michael, if you're Bridgeport Central, what are you doing here to try to move on with the game and realize that you still have a lot of time left? I think I just answered for you, but what are they going to do to try to stay in this game?
Well, I think they're just going to try to exploit Darien's defensive backfield, right? Darien has a very big defensive line, and so they're going to want to, as I said with St. Joe's, they're going to want to get the ball out quickly, and they're going to want to try to beat Darien out in open space, make them miss tackles, and, you know, just try to get long yards.
Fergie will kick it fielded by Prather at the 10-yard line. He will take it, quickly be taken down at the 20-yard line. But a good return from Amari Prather. Now we will see our first chance at this Bridgeport offense, and they are led by junior quarterback Amadeus Bonilla. Bonilla, the transfer from Newport News, Virginia. And he will be commanding this Hilltopper offense that only scored 12 points last week.
Yeah, I'm wondering how he's feeling fitting in with this new team. Of course, I don't know where he came from in Newport News, but he's definitely gonna have an adjustment period getting used to a new offense.
Are you familiar with Virginia geography? Do you even know where Newport News is?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
I don't think you do.
I absolutely do.
I don't think you do. Nonetheless, Padilla will set up with Ja'Kai Murphy in the backfield. It's actually 31, my apologies, Malachi Buchanan. First play hands off to Buchanan, and he will be stopped for a loss of 1. Good job by Darien's defense to quickly pounce on Buchanan.
Yeah, let's see if Bridgeport wants to try to, you know, almost mirror Darien's tactics and try to use the running game against them. But, you know, with how solid Darien's defensive line is, I don't think that's really going to work well for him.
And in week 1, Bridgeport Central struggled throwing the ball. They only had 68 passing yards all game. But yet again, their rushing game, only 18. So they're just looking for any offense they can get, as Bonilla will set up in the shotgun. Hand it off once again to Buchanan. He will find a hole and power his way up to the 26-yard line. First yards for Bridgeport, a 6-yard gain.
It's interesting to me that they're running twice on the first drive. I feel like if you're trying to build momentum, I mean, going slow is, of course, safer, but I feel like if you want to build momentum against Darien, right, and doing that, you want to start to pass and you want to start to, you know, harass Darien's defensive backfield.
The ball will be on the 26-yard line, 3rd and 5 for the Hilltoppers. Twin receivers on the play, Buchanan and Bonilla in the backfield. Bonilla will drop back, quickly being blitzed by Reeser, throws it over the middle, and incomplete, looking for Prather.
Yeah, Prather just looked like he was getting locked up there. I mean, that coverage was solid, and it kept him from, you know, pushing out and getting the speed he wanted to get to that ball.
And that's something Leighton Reeser immediately pounced on Bonilla. He almost sacked him there. That Bridgeport offensive line will need to be aware of Darien. They've got the weapons in Leighton Reeser, A.J. Kelly, Jack Barber, so they need to be able to buy their quarterbacks in time if they want to get the offense going.
Yeah, I mean, Reeser and Brennan were looking really, really, really good last weekend. They were pouncing on the they were pouncing on the offensive line. They were getting up. They were jumping snaps. So I think the quarterback's definitely going to need to be aware and definitely need to be worried about those two because they're going to be coming in. They're going to be coming hard.
Leighton Reeser had 8 tackles against the Hogs last week. Looking to replicate that, and we will see our first flag in this one. Not sure what that is, but it's on the Hilltoppers. Keep with the 4th down. We'll push them back 5 yards, back to the 21.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what that penalty was. But going to give Darien an extra 5 yards, and definitely something you don't want to see if you're the Bridgeport coaching staff.
So now the 4th and 10, the punt from Hemmings. It's actually the punt from Scott, fielded by Herget.
So it looked like, that was strange. It looked like, apologies. It looked like Schwind called the fair catch, and Herget caught the ball.
It's still a fair catch nonetheless, because it's once you catch it, I don't think it matters who necessarily catches the ball.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It looked like Schwind wanted the ball, and Herget came in and took it right out of his hands too.
Well, nonetheless, Darien will set up on the Bridgeport 48. And they will get the offense back out on the field. Yeah, that was definitely an oddity right there. As now Dahl will drop back. Over the middle, completes the pass to Picorni. Brady Picorni's off to the races. He's on the near side. The 20. Takes it up the middle. He's still loose. And Brady Picorni will score. Touchdown, Darien. Brady Picorni, the 48-yard reception. And Darien goes up 13-0.
That play is a perfect example of everything Darien can do best. Dahl had a lot of time there. He had about 4 or 5 seconds to throw, and he got it right out to Picorni. And Picorni, he's a fast guy. He showed up with his speed.
Brady Picorni, the All-FCIAC lacrosse standout, his first career varsity touchdown. And Darien takes a 13-0 lead. Good kick from Stevens, and it's 14-0. Good possession for Darien. It only took him 1 play this time for the touchdown, 48 yards. And Brady Picorni is the guy that finishes.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's an All-FCIAC lacrosse player, and he was showing his lacrosse speed there. It's interesting to see how he runs because he was moving the top of his body almost like he had a stick with him.
He was coming up that near side, cut right up the middle with it, and then he was off to the races.
Yeah, he had the same form as if he was rushing the goal. And he was going straight for the middle of the field, too. He was going right for where it would have been.
The only difference is the lacrosse goal is at the 10-yard line, so he went an extra 10 yards. But just got to correct you on it.
Well, no, I know where the goal is. Don't worry.
Plus the lacrosse lines are wider. So.
Yeah. So the field looks a little different.
Nonetheless, Trevor Herget, wow, my apologies, will kick it away from Darien. I said kick, and then I'm so used to the soccer last night. Trevor Pegg had a nice game for Darien as the Wave took down the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons 4-1.
Yeah, I mean,
quick turnaround for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going from soccer to football, you're bound to get something wrong with the kickers. I mean, it's just what happens. Same field, we're standing about the same place.
Yeah, only difference is my color commentator last night was a little better.
Oh, all right. Well, I see how it is. I haven't played soccer a day in my life, so I don't know if you'd want to see me try my hand at that.
I don't know. The great Tim Blake is tough to beat, but
of course.
I'm Braden Shank. Michael Mercine joined alongside me. You're watching this production of DAF Media Network. And Trevor Herget will kick us away. 14-0 Darien leads. Bridgeport will try to get their first offense going of the night. Big kick from Herget. This one will be fielded by Villa at the 5-yard line. He will stay up with it before being taken down by a trio of Darien players.
Yeah, that's definitely something you, as via seeing those big players coming down, part of the reason I don't play football anymore.
And that is?
Because I don't like getting hit. Nah, but yeah, I mean it's definitely for a smaller team, it's definitely intimidating to see a lot of these big, talented guys coming in and trying to take you down.
So let me get this straight. You played football, but you didn't want to get hit.
No, not exactly. We'll move on past that one.
I think you just backed yourself into a corner nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Amadeus Bonilla and co. will take back over. Buchanan will be joining him in the backfield. Trips on, or twin receivers on the play. Hands it off to Buchanan. He's going to try to pound it right up the middle. Stopped almost immediately by number 21, Ryan Gerlamo. And you talk about a big game. Ryan Gerlamo had one last week, the MVP on the defense. 7 tackles, a fumble recovery, and shut down the Hogs' Mickey Cavino.
I mean, he's going to be a very integral part of this defense for this year and next. You know, we talked about it last year, but he's only a junior, and this with a squad with a lot of, last year there weren't many returners. Next year, Gerlamo's going to be a center point of that defense.
He is indeed, and especially a defense that lost so many assets to graduation last year. Christian Allegro, Bo Hancock, Cole Murphy. So this has really been a rebuilding year as the flag will be thrown offsides, I believe the call we will see. But anyways, Darien lost so many weapons to graduation. It's really been a rebuilding year for them, and Ryan Gerlamo has stepped up big time for the Wave.
Yeah, so that's offsides for Darien. And yeah, in a game like this, you don't necessarily want to give up yards, but when you're up 14-0, I think you can afford to be a little bit more sloppy to try to get up off the line.
So the offsides will now give Bridgeport Central the 5 yards, set them up on the 21-yard line for 2nd and 4. Handoff right up the middle with it to Buchanan, and he will be snubbed for a loss of 1, if any. And it's been the same play for Bridgeport Central, that handoff to Buchanan right up the middle, and Darien's been expecting it. Now we'll set up the 3rd and 4.
Yeah, Bridgeport must trust Buchanan a lot to be able to make that open a hole on the defensive line. But seems like he hasn't been succeeding so far.
So Bonilla will conference with his coach Tom Burchard real quick, and then huddle back up with his offense. The 2nd-year head coach for the Hilltoppers. Burchard, a very accomplished coach, taking over this program. Still winless, but he will get that win someday. And there's a chance it could be this year, Mercine, even in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's very early in the game. Who knows what's going to happen?
Over the middle, incomplete, was looking for number 2, Villa.
Yeah, I mean, that was an all right pass, but you know, if you look here, Villa was really covered in quite a few players, and that would have had a hell of a pass to get past and up into the for first down. Thank you.
Would have been indeed, but the trio of Darien players will stop him and now get the punter and Ethan Scott back out. And once again, Bridgeport will go the 3 and out, punting back to the Blue Wave. So Darien will once again send Schwind and Herget back to receive the punt. Low snap got by Scott. The punt. This one will be fielded by Herget at the 45. He'll rush with it up the near side, and he has got some space, stays up with it, and Trevor Herget will take it all the way down to the 21-yard line.
You know, he's also a really slippery runner, and it's interesting to me that he's just a returner because for a defensive player, he's a very good runner, and as you just saw there, he can make a few players miss.
He can indeed, and he takes it all the way for a rush of about 40 or so on the punt return. And now Darien will get another red zone opportunity. They have scored on their last 2 opportunities. Dahl and Wilson in the backfield. Wilson takes the handoff. Coming to the near side, he will just fight his way down to the 4-yard line. Jake Wilson continuing to pound the run game. And so far he is up to, I have it here, 65 rushing yards early in this one.
I mean, for the first half quarter, 65 is not bad. I mean, Darien, as you said, Darien knows the rushing game is going to work against Bridgeport. But, you know, even with the passes that they've been throwing in to throw the defense off, you know, they've been succeeding with whatever they've been trying so far.
So Connor Lane will come out. Trevor Herget will step over on that far side, and he'll be joined by Will Bonner. But Dahl will field it, take it to his left. Simeon Dahl, short pass over the middle, and he finds Trevor Herget for the touchdown. Dahl to Herget, and Darien goes up 20-0. You take another look at it. Dahl threw right over the middle, and 28. Trevor Herget makes the catch.
And so you see, Herget's playing on the offense. I think that's the first time he's been on offense this whole year.
It has indeed. And, you know, if you were listening to me earlier, you would have said Connor Lane coming out, Herget coming in.
Yeah, I did miss that, but now, I mean, he's playing on offense. He's getting his opportunity to show, you know, just how slippery a runner he is.
And now here's Tucker Stevens on the PAT. Make him 3 for 3. And Darien takes the 21-0 lead. And we still have about 5.5 minutes left in this opening quarter. And Darien, yeah, there's a chance they could be digging into their depth in this game.
Oh yeah, I mean this might be a game. This looks like this might be a game where the sophomores get an opportunity to show what they have, and we get to glimpse into the future for the Darien offense.
But I do think a lot of Blue Wave fans were liking what they see, especially given what happened last week at St. Joe's, where the offense really just couldn't get going for Darien, and they were treading water for a good part of, I would say, 3.5 quarters, really. And it's good to see them out here putting the good possessions together, putting some touchdowns up on the board, and now they lead 21-0.
Yeah, I mean, blocking looks better, and Dahl seems to be on target, which there were a lot of high passes from both sides last week, and Dahl seems to not be missing passes high, and he seems to be locked in and ready to go.
And around looking over, pretty good show out from the Darien student section here, all covered in the flower, but they're out here supporting their Blue Wave, one of their 5 home games they will get in the regular season, and of course one of them being the Turkey Bowl. To finish out the season, muffs it is Villa. That's actually Reed. He will go up the far side with it. Quickly met by a defender, Rupenstein, and he will be taken out of bounds with the flag thrown at the 30-yard line.
Not quite sure what that flag is for.
Take another look at it. That's Reed. We'll see what the call is from the referee. Bridgeport will take over on the offense.
Doesn't look like the chains have moved.
And yep, now they will move. Bridgeport will get some yards on it.
It's a lot of yards. It looked like it was some sort of personal foul. Maybe if we see that again, seems like it was a horse collar.
And our graphics coordinator, Cooper Kelly, will give it the horse collar tackle. And he, of course, is our expert at this, so we're just going to trust him. Could be a scary thing now that I think about it.
No, I mean, we got trust in our whole crew here.
We do indeed, as the penalty will be on the Blue Wave, and we'll set them up at the 44-yard line, Bridgeport Central, after the horse collar tackle. So now Bonilla will take over on the offense. Throw over the middle of the screen pass, complete to Villa, and he will be taken out of bounds for a loss of 1.
Yeah, it seems like he just couldn't get going there. He's looked a little bit like a deer in headlights with the defensive backs coming in on him.
And take another look at it, just dragged out of bounds on it. And this is one of Bridgeport Central's best field positions, and you got to assume they're trying to get something going as they now find themselves 2nd and 12 on the 42-yard line.
Yeah, if you're Central, you have to take every opportunity you can. This penalty is a gift that Darien's given to Central to get closer to the end zone, of course. And so to not capitalize on it here would be a major mistake and could change how this game's going to feel.
Hands this one off to Reed. And Reed will be stopped for a loss of 1. So once again, Darien is not giving anything up to this Bridgeport Central rushing game. I mean, so far, Bridgeport Central, a total of only 3 offensive yards in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have 3 yards, you know you want all the starting position you can get. Darien's been giving it to them, and they still can't capitalize on it, unfortunately.
Only had 1 first down, and I think it was that play we just saw for them. So they've not really had a good first down yet. As now the twin receivers on the play, Bonilla in the backfield. He will drop back. Throw this one downfield, looking for St. Jean. He will be taken down. No flag, even though St. Jean was looking for it, and will be incomplete.
Yeah, it looked like both players there, both St. Jean and Schwind, were pushing off each other pretty tightly. It didn't really seem like if they were going to throw a flag, it wouldn't be clear which side to throw it for, so refs kept the flag down.
So James St. Jean, the first-year senior for Bridgeport Central, unable to come away with it. And now the Hilltoppers will keep it. They will now turn it over to their punting game. And Ethan Scott. This will be his 3rd punt of the afternoon. And Schwind and Herget in the backfield. Low snap there. Good punt from Scott. This one will be taken a bounce. Schwind will field it at the 25. He'll go up the far sideline with it. And he will be tracked out of bounds at the 38. Good return from Schwind.
I believe this is Darien's second farthest back starting position so far today.
That is indeed. They started on the 40 on their first possession. This actually might be their longest. 27. I can probably tell you. Started on the 40, the Bridgeport 48, and the Bridgeport 21. So this is their farthest starting point. As this handoff to Wilson. He'll come up the near sideline with it. Jake Wilson, he's got some room. He's still up, and he'll be shoved out of bounds by Reed. But not before he picks up a gain of 20 on the play.
Yeah, I mean, Darien blocking's been really effective here, and combination of blocking and Wilson just using the speed to get around these defenders, it's been getting consistent 20-yard gains, and seems like Darien's looking unstoppable right now.
So the chains will move. This ball will be placed on the 40-yard line. Darien, they pick up first down number 8 in this first quarter. And already the offense has played better than they did in the entire game at St. Joe's last week.
Oh, absolutely. I told you, I said last week that it takes...
Ball downfield, and he finds McMullen, and he will score. Isaac McMullen with the touchdown grab, his first on the season, and Darien continues to add to the lead.
Yeah, beautiful throw and beautiful catch. Dahl looked sighted in, and McMullen was able to get his feet, get right under it, and get across the goal line there.
Isaac McMullen, his first touchdown grab of the season. And Darien goes up 27-0 in this first quarter.
And as I was saying, right, and you just saw right there, this offense looks locked in. They look dialed in. It takes a little bit more time for offenses to get
High
dialed
snap
in.
there, Stevens. He will just pounce on it. So Darien unable to get the PAT on it. Sorry to cut you off there,
No, of course. Game comes first, of course. But, yeah, so the Darien offense, it takes a long time for offenses to get sort of in the zone. And this week, Darien has clearly put a lot of effort to make sure that everyone in the offense is on the same page. Dahl is, these routes seem to be, Dahl seems to be ready for the routes that the receivers are running. And the offense looks really well oiled, and they're marching down the field really well.
So 27-0, Darien leads in this first quarter. Scoring summary for them, touchdowns from Jake Wilson, Isaac McMullen, Brady Picorni, and Trevor Herget is where we stand. And they have scored on all 4 of their drives in this first quarter.
Shows you how versatile this Darien team is with four different touchdowns from 4 different players.
This one will be fielded by Reed at the 10-yard line. He will take it across field immediately. Stopped by Avery Farman, the junior.
Yeah, that was a big tackle from Farman. I don't think we've seen him out on the field yet, and so he's getting a chance to prove himself just like a lot of players might today.
Take another look at it. Number 3, Nalim Reed immediately met with Farman. And Farman, a wide receiver on JV last season, moved to a free safety on the defensive end. And Bridgeport will now try their luck at their own 17-yard line. $27-0 our score in this first quarter. Darien leading Bridgeport Central. Bonilla and Buchanan in the backfields. Buchanan had 8 rushes for 42 yards last week, but now Buchanan will try to take it himself. He's tripped up, stays with it. Will rush it over to the sideline. He will gain some positive yards. Flag will be thrown, but that play looks like chaos for Bridgeport Central when it started. But Amadeus Bonilla will pick up a couple yards.
Seems like we have a player down. I believe it is Bonilla on the far sideline.
And that's not good, as Bonilla will get up just a little shaken.
Yeah, it looked to me like he took a big hit from Captain Jack Barber, and getting hit by him, he's a big kid, and that's gotta hurt.
Jack Barber, the Williams football commit, definitely has a lot of power on the defensive end for Darien. The player's up for Bridgeport Central. Looks like he's just a little shaken. As you can hear on the mics at home, the cheerleaders in attendance, the Darien band. It truly is a high school football atmosphere here in southwestern Connecticut. Again, the first of 5 we will see at Darien High School this season. They will have a big one next Friday night, as a round of applause will be given to, I don't think it was Bonilla, but it might be number 11, Ja'Kai Murphy, who will get back in. But as I was saying, Darien, 5 home games on the season. They will have a big one next week against the Maloney Spartans. Friday night, DAF Media has you covered. And then they are off for a good month until October 29th, playing, 3 straight road games at Fairfield Ward, a bye at Wilton, and then Fairfield Ludlow, before returning home to play Greenwich, Norwalk, and then have the Turkey Bowl back here, and those are the 5 home games for Darien this season.
Yeah, I mean, Darien, and having those 5 games in a row is going to really let Darien, the students, build this atmosphere. You know, this is going to be our first home game and our only home game for a few weeks, other than Maloney. But then once you get back, you know, that Darien home atmosphere is really going to really build and build. And with the home Turkey Bowl, Darien's going to be feeling that home field advantage a lot this year.
They definitely will, and they have a tough stretch. Greenwich, the #1 team in the state of Connecticut, will be coming here in late October. That's a game that Darien is trying to win, but the Cardinals are looking solid, and Norwalk has been struggling this year, so a game they will try to pick up as well. And again, Maloney's the wild card next week. The Spartans are 2-0. They will come in. Darien, a lot of players saying that's a must-win game next week if they're trying to make that postseason in December.
Yeah, that seems to be the atmosphere on the team. A lot of the players here are really focused on Maloney. They know that they're a team that is conventionally a very good team, and they're the team to beat for this for the upcoming few games.
Handoff up the middle and taken down at the 35-yard line was Buchanan once again. But that is going to be a battle of 2 state champions from a year ago. Darien winning the Class LL, Maloney the Class L. I think me and you are back on the call for that one, Racine.
I believe we are, and it's going to be interesting to see how 2 teams that were state champions, go up against each other. Now that Darien's coming down to Class L, it's going to be interesting to see how both teams have sort of felt their change and felt their new returning players make an effect.
Not really sure if Darien got pulled down to Class L necessarily, more just the realignment of them. Darien now in the stacked superclass in Class L with St. Joseph, Maloney, New Canaan, Amity, Hall, Shelton, Hamden, not Hamden, but loaded with talent. Pass over the middle, incomplete for Bridgeport Central. And it's going to be interesting come postseason time who really is going to be the 8 teams in and who's going to make a run for the state championship. Yeah,
there's a stacked class, if you could say. And it's going to be a big change for Darien. Darien's been used to being double L for a while. The graduated senior class from last year was a very large class, and I'm pretty sure they alone really helped to bring Darien up to double L size. And now, with a smaller senior class this year, we're coming back down to L, and I don't know how it's going to look for the next few years.
It definitely will be interesting. Like I said, you have those powerhouses that are being called up, like St. Joseph, like New Canaan, that have been in the Class Ls, the Class Ms over the recent years. As now Bonilla will set up, drop back, throw this one downfield to nobody. And it will now be 4th down on the 35-yard line. And Amadeus Bonilla has been struggling to find receivers out there with that incompletion. He now falls to 1-6 on the game.
Yeah, I don't envy his position. He's been facing a lot of pressure from this Darien line. I mean, a few plays ago, when the personal foul was called, Reeser was jumping the line of scrimmage, and he got right in on Bonilla. Bonilla's been having to dodge rushers left and right and still being able to make passes.
So Bonilla will line up in the backfield with Buchanan. He will drop back, look to pass, being met immediately with J.D. Brennan, and the ball is knocked loose. And they're going to call him down on it.
Yeah, good for Bridgeport that the refs made that call, because if not, there was only Darien players, and they were looking right at the end zone, and they seemed hungry.
They did indeed. You take another look at it. Bonilla was down. That was a nice recovery from A.J. Kelly, and he would have been off to the races. But nonetheless, J.D. Brennan will get credited with the sack. And it will be, what are they going to call it? I think they're going to call it a turnover, give it to Darien, but say that Kelly was down.
It was 4th down.
Oh, that is right. It is 4th down.
So, yeah, they're going to call him down and give Darien the ball. That doesn't save Darien's offense from having to go out there, but it looks like they're going to be excited to get out there with a rush.
That's handoff to Clifton Shelton. Shelton. It was funny, I looked down at my little live stats and realized it was 4th down on the play. Probably should have picked up on that earlier, as Shelton will take the rush there.
It makes sense that they're going for it on 4th down. Bridgeport knows that they're going to have to take risks if they want to continue, if they want to stay in this game and not let Darien score again by the end of the first quarter.
Well, indeed, 27-0. Darien leads. Dahl will be in the backfield with Shelton. Clifton, he played in the Norwalk game last season. We've got a lot more time as Dahl will throw this one complete to McGuckin. Briggs McGuckin, he's making a rush for the end zone, leaps, and he will score. Briggs McGuckin with the touchdown, and Darien adds to the lead once again.
I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from Darien. Not only are you getting a lot of offense, but you're getting offense from a lot of different players here. Darien's really sort of like embodying this next man up attitude, and we've seen a lot of offense today.
The 5th different player to score for Darien this afternoon, Briggs McGuckin. And it is now 33-0. Tucker Stevens on for the PAT. I think Darien has scored on every possession. They've had another bad snap, and this one will be picked up by Bridgeport. He is off to the races, and they're going to
blow the whistle. Call
it off. I'm not really sure.
I'm unsure of the FCIAC rule for, or the CIAC rule, I guess, for PATs returned for a touchdown, but they may not exist. They may just count as a turnover.
I wonder if we can get a replay on that, because I don't think the holder, Shelton, was down. Yeah, the ball looked like it was loose.
Yeah, I'm unsure why he was called down necessarily. It looked like the ref was waving his arms as if it was an incompletion, so I'm not sure if that's a rule that we're not aware of. But they had an opportunity to get a PAT return, and it seems like the refs thought otherwise.
I feel like that's a central rule of football on the PAT. A bad snap, you can pick it up and take it to the house. I mean, that would be the only explanation that makes sense, is that they thought, I guess, the snap was there, the holder was down, I guess.
Yeah, that could have been it. But regardless.
Doesn't matter. Herget will kick it away. 33-0 Darien. Fielded by Reed. We'll take it on the far side. And he stopped at the 30-yard line. But that would have been a golden play for Bridgeport Central. They're taking it to the house because Reed was off to the races on that one.
Yeah, that would have been a definitely a big motivator for Central.
Nonetheless, Bonilla will take back over. And Bridgeport Central trying to get some offensive yards. I don't think they've had a first down yet today. Or at least not a long possession, a lot of 3-and-outs. Bonilla will try his luck with Buchanan in the backfield once again.
Yeah, and as the game goes on, it's going to be even more and more important for the Central offense to get going, because you don't want that defense. You don't want the defense out all the time. You don't want them getting worn down, and with this Darien offense, sort of having their motivation to keep them going, and the Bridgeport defense being slowed down.
Hands it off to Buchanan. He will be stopped at the 30-yard line, and it will be second down. Buchanan a little slow to get up. Seems to be okay.
I mean, he's been taking hits all day today, and I think it's going to be something that he's going to have to push through, because Central seems to be preferring the run game right now. I mean, only 6 passes so far today, and no first downs.
It's definitely been a run-heavy offense, and it's always kind of been that way for Bridgeport Central. They relying on the running games. A couple years ago, they went, so we got find in 2010, the last winning season they had. They had one of the best running backs in the state, and they won 6 games last year. So Bridgeport Central has always been kind of a run-heavy team, and they're once again showing this here as a handoff once again to Buchanan. He will find a hole, pick up a gain of about 2 or 3. Man, that will just about take us to the end of the first quarter. A dominant first quarter from the Blue Wave. They lead 33-0 after the first 12 minutes. We still have 3 quarters left to play on the DAF Media Network. We're going to step aside and be right back.
This broadcast is produced by DAF Media, a joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. The production is staffed by student and adult volunteers from the town of Darien and southwestern Connecticut. DAF Media is actively seeking financial support. Founded in 2017, DAF Media has quickly become southwestern Connecticut's source for quality sports, arts, and community programming. If you like what you see on the DAF Media Network and want to help us continue to deliver high-quality broadcasts while teaching lifelong STEM, communication, organization, and leadership skills, please email us at sponsor@dafmedia.org.
We're back on the DAF Media Network, waiting the start of the second quarter between Bridgeport Central and Darien. Bonilla will start over the middle, throw to nobody.
Yeah, it seemed like a miscommunication there between Bonilla and Negron. And you know, Bonilla seemed like he was expecting Iran to come in and come towards the sideline, and Bonilla just was throwing to nobody there.
So we are in the second quarter, and Bridgeport Central will once again bring the punting team out. Darien students slowly filing out. Still a good crowd, though. And number 15, Ethan Scott, back out. I mean, I asked you this early in the game. I'm going to ask you again. What does Bridgeport Central need to do to try to climb back in this game or start to just put some points on the board?
I mean, I honestly think short passes might be the go. As I said, they're having struggles getting past Darien's defensive line.
That punt is blocked. Rushing forward is Jack Silsby. He can't get it. He's being shoved off. Picked up is J.D. Brennan. And the blocked punt will take it to the 13-yard line.
And this looks like it's Darien's best field position today. But, you know, as I was saying, Central needs to minimize those types of mistakes, and they need to get an offensive presence going. The Darien defensive line has been absolutely hammering, especially Bonilla. And so they need to get the ball out quick, and they need to dump the ball out, try screens, try things to get people out in open field and just get running.
So it will be 1st and 10 for the Darien Blue Wave on their own 13-yard line. Hands this one off to, I think it was Wilson, and he will take it down for the first down, or not quite for the first down, just shy. But Jake Wilson's had a nice rushing game for Darien.
Yeah, Wilson was showing his power there. Looked like he was dragging at one, if not two players along with him for a few yards.
And up 33-0. This is the offense we know Darien can score. Last season they averaged 39 points a game. Did not score last week against St. Joseph. Dahl will drop back. Scramble to the near side. He will take it himself on the QB rush. Dahl, he's off and he will score. Simeon Dahl, his first touchdown of the season. And Darien adds another, although there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not getting called back, that's the 6th touchdown by a different player.
Holding on the offense.
Yeah, that's coming
back.
back.
That is coming back.
Those are the mistakes that Darien want. Not necessarily that Darien wants to see, but it's good to see. It's good to see a holding mistake now. Something that sort of indications of things that the coaches are going to need to address now in a game where Darien's ahead, rather than a tight game like St. Joe's, where every yard matters.
Does indeed. Both of these teams were riddled with penalties. For Bridgeport Central, 70 penalty yards they surrendered to the Tigers last week. For Darien, don't have the exact number, but they did surrender a lot of yards on penalties. And in that close of a game, it really kills you, as now they're set all the way back to their own 36-yard, or to the opposition 36-yard line. Dahl will drop back. Throw this one a bullet over the middle, caught by Will Johnson. Johnson will go off. He will be tripped up, and the ball is knocked loose. They're going to call Johnson down on the play, as Will Johnson will take it to the 16-yard line.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they brought him back 15 yards, so I don't believe that was holding. I think that might have been a personal foul.
I mean, the ref signaled holding on it.
Then there must have been some issue, because Darien was at their, at the 24.
I don't really know. I just know that's where they started the play, and that's where they end up now, at the 16-yard line, as Dahl will be accompanied by Wilson in the backfield. Twin receivers on the play. Dahl will keep it himself, quickly being met, and he will take Sweetenham with him all the way to the 10-yard line. Jamari Sweetenham grabbed on to Simeon Dahl for dear life, and Simeon still powered through to get a couple extra yards.
That's perseverance. I mean, look at him here. You know, he's spinning, he's running, he's trying to get the player off him, and he's getting all the yards he needs to. And that's something you want to see as the Darien coaching staff, is every single player fighting for every single yard they can get. You know, that's the mentality that Darien might need coming into harder games against Greenwich. And so to show that they're still fighting for every yard, even in a game where they're up by 33 points, is pretty big.
So Dahl will be in the backfield once again, hands it off to Jake Wilson. Wilson will go right up the middle. He is gone, and a touchdown for Darien. Jake Wilson found the light of day, and the Darien Blue Wave will go up 39-0.
Yeah, and so now we're getting into the realm of running the clock off. as we have 10 minutes left in the second quarter and 2 more quarters to play after this. And Darien's now up by more than 35, so the clock should be running for most of the game.
I thought it was 35, the running clock. Nonetheless, Tucker Stevens on for the PAT. The snap, the kick, and it is good. Tucker Stevens makes the PAT. 40-0, Darien leads.
It's a good sign for special teams. They were able to, make 2 mistakes and come back out after that touchdown. Get a good kick going and make it good.
This was a game not many people knew what to expect, but Darien with the 40-0 lead. I'm going to give a shout out to our DAF Media production crew doing a great job bringing you the sights and sounds in this one. Cooper Kelly, Connor Russo, Liam Tomaszewski, Griffin Banks sitting down on camera, not sure what he's doing, and our DAF Media advisor, Damian Andrew. Want to thank all of them for coming out on their Saturday. Braden Shank and Michael Mercine with you. So glad you could be with us.
Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better crew. Even coming out on a Saturday afternoon, I guess. But I was here before 12.
Were you though?
No. Coming out on a Saturday afternoon, and having this great crew and being able to put together a great production is one of the best feelings in the world.
It is indeed. I was going to say, if you were here at noon, why didn't you help me with the setup?
Who knows?
The kickoff from Herget on the near side. The bounce will be to Villa. He'll field at the 15, muffs it, and will force Graham to be taken down, flag thrown. That is Titus Graham, the first-year sophomore. And the flag will be thrown. And we're going to take another look at it. Villa fumbled with it and muffed it.
Not sure what the call is. Looks like some sort of personal foul. Farman came in really fast, and it looked like there might have been a little bit of help contact. Face mask.
So the face mask called on Darien. Will give Bridgeport Central some yards. They're going to keep marching that upfield up to the 35. So the clock will get running. Bridgeport Central is going to try the trips receivers on the play. And actually, the twin receivers, they're going to realign. Bonilla alone in the backfield. 20 on the play clock. Bonilla will take it himself. And he will just rush with it and take it just about to the line of scrimmage.
Ooh, and that's going to be a foul on Care, I think, for coming in and hitting him late after he's already out of bounds.
So once again, the penalties will hurt Darien on it.
This is one thing the coach staff is going to need to focus on is building discipline. You can't just give up 30 yards even if you're up by 40 points. And that's what Darien has just done with these last 2 penalties.
I mean, like I said, penalties are a killer to any team. Doesn't matter the score or the circumstance. And Bridgeport Central now find themselves on the other side of the field for the first time in this one. 49-yard line. You got to assume Bridgeport's just looking to get some points on the board before the half, some high note, considering they have not been able to score against Darien since 2018 was the last time they put up points against the Blue Wave.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for points, and this is one of their best opportunities. I mean, as if you're ever not looking for points.
Neo over to Buchanan, and he will pick up a yard or two to set up 2nd and 8. Darien now starting to dig into their depth on their defense. Picorni's playing defense. J.D. Brennan out there. Let's see who else. Avery Farman back out. There's a couple other, I'm probably missing their names. But once again, Darien, a very depth-heavy team. Harry Von Kennel out on the far side, hands it off to Buchanan. He will try to pound it up the middle once again. Picking up 1, but it is interesting. Bridgeport Central has run that same play, what has felt like the entire game, that handoff to Buchanan right up the middle, picking up a yard or 2, but you only get 3 tries, and then 4th and 7 still.
Yeah, see, I mean, I've been stressing it. Of course, they've been struggling with pass game. I've been stressing short passes, and they haven't been throwing them. Not saying I should be out there coaching. I'm sure their coaching staff is definitely knows what they're doing. But, you know, at a certain point, you have to question, you know, is their bread and butter really all that effective?
That one over the middle and deflected by J.D. Brennan. And now this will set up 4th and 7. He was trying to pass it over the middle, but a good job by J.D. Brennan to get in the way of it. Now Bridgeport Central looking to convert for the first time on the afternoon. Hilltopper offense will stay on the field. Bonilla will be in backfield with Buchanan. Bonilla drops back quickly on the blitz, throws it over the middle, and that one will be just incomplete off the hands of Leighton Reeser. Will be a turnover on downs, but Reeser almost got the interception.
I mean, if you're Darien, not that you don't want the interception, but it doesn't seem to really matter either way whether or not that's an interception. But I'm sure Reeser's still kicking himself. You know, you don't always get the opportunity to make turnover yourself rather than just relying on the downs. Also, interestingly, it doesn't seem like Central has actually punted for either of the last 2 drives. And you know, when you're down so far, I guess it makes sense to just try to do whatever you can to get back in the game, even with 2 quarters left. But I'm not sure if there's a lack of reliance on their punters after the Muffs punt, but seems like they don't want to punt anymore.
Also something when watching that game against Bullard Havens, as the handoff will be to Wilson. But watching that Bullard Haven game, it's almost like they're giving reps. They give some to their punter, and then they realize they're down by 40, and you might as well get the 4th down unit out, as they're going to need that late in this season, especially in the close games, 4th downs, having some real game experience, so you might as well get some here.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get experience. Yeah, exactly as you said. It's good to get experience. It's good to see how you perform on 4th and mid ranges to 4th and long.
Because looking at this Bridgeport Central schedule, and Dahl was not expecting that one, but it comes right to him. He will now take it on the far side. Simeon Dahl will pick up the 1st down, but he was not ready for that football.
No, he was not. I mean, and it was very good that he got running and shows how versatile a quarterback he is. You know, he's been throwing he's making a lot of throws in the run. Last week he was showing that he's really smart when it comes to escaping the pocket, and so that's another play where he can take the ball and he can get out.
So there's a player down on the sideline, a Bridgeport Central player, and they're going to bring the card out to him. That is something that Darien has just been trying to get the 1st down, keep the chains moving, keep the offense out on the field. They were up 33-0 after the 1st quarter. They had the early touchdown. So students sticking it out in the student section. Probably a good time to give another shout out to our DAF Media production crew with the stoppage, all student volunteers of Darien High School. Cooper Kelly, James Foresta, Connor Russo, Liam Tomaszewski, Griffin Banks, and our DAF Media advisor, Damian Andrew. A couple first-timers making their debuts today, Mercine. I think we got James Foresta, Liam Tomaszewski, maybe Griffin Banks. No, not Griffin Banks, but the 2 of them making their DAF Media debuts, doing a great job on camera and instant replay, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great program. Definitely happy to have them. And here's to many more games for them.
Yes, indeed. I know me and you, we're seniors. We're going to be out of here
in
the spring. It's always good to hand the torch off to the younger classes, watching what they will be doing next season and beyond. So look out for those guys as Wilson will get the handoff.
Speaking of handing the torch.
Quite literally. That one taken to the 35-yard line. Well, the difference is they're handing an actual pigskin to them, and we're handing a figurative thing to the underclassmen.
We're handing a keyboard and some headsets. And some cameras.
I don't think we are.
I mean, I'll hand it off to the next. I'll physically hand off my headset to whoever's coming next.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to be on the receiving end of that, but you do you. As Darien will now have the 2nd and 2, hands it off once again to Jake Wilson. Wilson's now going to find a hole, take it to the near side, and Wilson is off to the races, and he will score. Jake Wilson, his 3rd touchdown on the game, and Darien will continue to add on.
It's going to be a great morale booster for Wilson. After something like 68 yards last week, to come back, have 3 touchdowns, have I'm not sure how many yards. It's got to feel great. It's got to get him feeling good for next week. And, I mean, everyone's got their eyes on Maloney, and so to play well today is to get players' hopes up that, they're going to play well, that they know that they could take Maloney.
It's Jake Wilson, his touchdown, 46-0. Darien leads. Tucker Stevens out for the PAT. He gives it the run up a line drive, a powerful kick, and into the woods. I was talking with Tucker before the game. He made a 45-yarder in warm-ups. He is just a sophomore. He's got a leg that can kick.
He's one of the most dedicated kickers I think I've seen. These past 2 weeks we've come out and we've been out there an hour and a half before games, and he's making field goals. He's drilling. I mean, he drilled a 45-yarder. I think he was hitting some that far at St. Joe's. And so, that's what you want to see if you're this Darien coaching staff. You want to see players like Stevenson who they want to be out there, they want to play, and they want to get better. And he's a sophomore. He'll be here for 2 more years, and let's hope he can help be a part of that culture.
And we made the analogy last week, but to make it again, having a kicker, a specific kicker, makes all the difference in those close games. You look at New Canaan, they have Ty Groff. St. Joseph, they have Logan Spolstra. There's probably a couple others I'm missing, but having that specific guy, you find yourself 4th down in the red zone, you don't have to go for it. You can fall back on your kicker to get the easy 3 points. And it was something that Darien didn't really have until they found McMullen late in the season. As now Darien will try their luck at the squib kick, received by Graham. Graham on the 35, he'll be taken down at the 34, but it's an aspect that Darien likes to have from game 1. Get Stevens out there. They have Anson Sikora as well that will see some time. So the kicking game for Darien is definitely looking good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the Darien coaching staff is eccentric to have such a kicker like Stevenson because it's another tool in your arsenal. As you said, you 4th down in the red zone or even just outside the red zone, you can get the points you need, and you see what Ty Groff does to the New Canaan offense, right? He makes their offense so much more flexible. He makes them more fluid because they know that they might be able to take a bigger risk on 4th down because they can kick the field goal if it doesn't, or on 3rd down because they can kick the field goal if it doesn't work. And so getting that tool really helps you feel more solid and just opens your playbook even more as an offense.
Doesn't need Bonilla will now try his luck. Throw this one downfield, and that one is just through the hands of number 29, Kean Levine. Levine was looking at an interception to his name, and the ball slides right through his hands. And Bridgeport Central will dodge a bullet.
Yeah, I mean, even with them throwing what should have been an interception, I think it's a good tone shift for Central that they're starting to play for the deep ball. They know that they need to be aggressive here, and that's what they're doing. If you see with them with the deep ball, I'm expecting to see it a lot more.
Definitely think so. And Bonilla, knowing they're down by 47, they're going to get that passing game going because it's the only way they really can make a comeback in this game. Those short rushes aren't going to get you that far anymore.
Nope, they are not.
Bonilla will try his luck again on 2nd and 10. Drop back, blitzes on, throws it over the middle, and Levine will get that one. Interception for Darien. Kean Levine, the 2nd year on varsity, and he picks up the interception.
Yeah, big tone. I mean, not big tone, but big redemption moment for Levine. Having missed that last interception, that one is arguably much more impressive with him diving for the ball.
It is indeed, and now Darien will get the chance on the offense once again. And that's something Kean had the first attempt on the far side, just slipped through his hands, turns around, and the ball's right there at him, and Kean will pick up the interception. 47-0 our score. Braden Shank and Michael Racine with you. So glad you can be with us. Still in the first half between Darien and Bridgeport Central. Hands this one off to Shelton. Sheldon will be taken out at the 49. I know me and Peter McLean were going back and forth on it last season, but Clifton really is the future of Darien running. Once you lose Jake Wilson at graduation, he'll be taking the starting torch at the running position, and he's got a lot of talent in him.
Oh yeah, I think he's very similar to Jake Wilson in that he's maybe not, to use other running backs, he's not Ty Comiskey in his power, but he still can run through somebody, and he's very agile, and we'll see him this year show what he has, and next year he'll get the torch.
And now Darien onto their backup quarterback, as this one is thrown and just past the reach of number 98, Will Barber. But the quarterback now in the game is Declan Cunningham, the backup. Cunningham, a junior. former baseball player turned quarterback, and he was looking for his fellow sophomore. He's a junior throwing to the sophomore, Will Barber, just past the reach of Will Barber. And talk about an athletic football family. The Barbers, it doesn't get much more than that. Will Barber, Jack Barber, their sister Lizzie played soccer for Darien last season. I think one more, Caitlin, coming up, going to play a sport. It's an athletic family right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, Darien is built around those athletic families, and, you know, I'm sure the Barbers is a younger group. You know, we're going to be seeing them for a long time.
Flag thrown on the play. Sheldon will get the first down as the player's down on it. So Cunningham, his first action on the season. Simeon Dahl, his night will be done. And a nice performance from Simeon. But these are the games that you really like to see as a head coach, Mike Forget, giving the younger talent some opportunities, going into your depth.
Another player down again on the far side as well.
So players will take a knee. There will be a penalty on it. That will give Darien a couple more yards. And we're going to step aside real quick and be right back on the DAF Media Network. We're back on the DAF Media Network. Darien 1st and 10. This one will be handed off to Sheldon. And Darien will continue to move the chains, now on the 19-yard line. This was the score last year when these teams met, 47-0, although the difference is that was the final after 4 quarters. We are just about to hit the half, and it's 47-0.
That was last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's got to make you feel good as this new Darien team to be able to put up the numbers that last year's team did against Bridgeport in just one half. And, you know, it shows promising things for this whole Darien offense.
Throws that one just through the hands of number 88. Henry Rooney, the junior. Twin brother.
Harry.
Harry. Did I say Henry?
You said Henry.
Harry Rooney. His twin brother John Rooney on the team. 88 and 89.
That's got to make it difficult for coaches, doesn't it?
Well, it's also tough because one of them pulls the jersey up a bit. You can't see the difference between an 8 and a 9.
Exactly, and they also both look like twins.
Well, they're identical.
Well, they are
twins,
identical
so
twins. I know why I said they both look like twins. Of course they do.
That's
what being
an
identical
twin is.
Well, now we have a penalty down on play. False start in Darien.
So penalties again coming back. I'm curious what the running clock rule is because it looks like we're now in the running clock.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I was told it was 35, and that's what it was last year. I think we hit running clock once or twice, including against Central. But who knows?
Who knows?
It's in the rule book.
It's in the rule book somewhere, just like that rule that I think you made up about you can't return a missed PAT.
That's the explanation I found.
Muff PATs. Cunningham will drop back, throws one over the middle, complete to number 80 for Darien in Connor Lane, and Lane will take it all the way down to the 4-yard line, and Darien, that will take us to.
Good running by Lane. He was cutting between a lot of players, and he was able to navigate Darien blockers.
So we are through one half in this one. Darien with the commanding 47-0 lead over the Bridgeport Central Hilltoppers. Michael, what have been your takeaways for these first 24 minutes?
I don't think that Bridgeport came in with the same energy that Darien did. as I said at the beginning of the game, Darien had a massive chip on its shoulder, and they had something to prove, and they've come in, and I think they've done a pretty good job of proving it, right? Central, on the other hand, they haven't been able to get much offense going. I don't even know if they've had a first down yet. But there's still, glimmers of hope for Central. Darien's now onto their backups, and with the amount of penalties that have been going down, Central's still gonna have an opportunity to get down the field and score in this game, because the last thing you want, even when performing like this, is a shutout.
So I'm gonna pick your mind on this. Take me inside the Bridgeport Central locker room. What is head coach Burchard telling his guys at the half?
I think he's telling his guys that they need to be angry. They need to be annoyed, because nobody likes losing 47-0, right? And with a team that's been winless, you need to get that energy. If Central isn't playing well from a technical standpoint, they need to be able to come in and match, if not beat Darien from a heart standpoint. Darien, the coach is going to know that Darien's going to be in the locker room. They're going to be putting their feet up. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be feeling good, and they're going to come out after this next half, and they're not going to be playing seriously because they have 47-point lead, and that's where Bridgeport needs to shine. They need to play aggressive, and they need to play like they want to be here and like they want to score points, and then that should help them to overcome Darien.
So we are at the half. Darien 47, Bridgeport Central 0. We're going to take a break for halftime and be right back on the DAF Media Network, a joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation.
DAF Media is actively seeking financial support. Founded in 2017, DAF Media has quickly become Southwestern Connecticut's source for quality sports, arts, and community programming. If you like what you see on the DAF Media Network and want to help us continue to deliver high-quality broadcasts while teaching lifelong STEM, communication, organization, and leadership skills, please email us at sponsor@dafmedia.org. We are a registered 501c3 organization.
I'm proud of the work the Darien Foundation has done over the past 20 years. If you live here, our work has likely impacted you, your family, and your neighbors. Since our founding in 1998, we've provided more than $4.2 million in grants, which create opportunity for Darien's youth, support our town's safety and security services, and enhance the overall quality of life in Darien through collaboration with community organizations.
As a family that's relatively new to town and planning to make this our long-term home, I'm grateful to see my community and my family benefit from the Darien Foundation. When I learned that the edible gardens at the elementary schools, the generator at the Darien Library, and the playground by the Sound were all funded by the same organization, I raised my hand to get involved. I'm proud to support an organization whose impact I see every day in our schools and throughout our community.
So far this year, the Darien Foundation has awarded $138,000 in grants to enhance our community. In 2013, the Darien Community Association opened a 4-acre bird sanctuary thanks to a grant from the Darien Foundation. The serene wooded glade has attracted numerous birds, bees, and butterflies, as well as more than 200 school children and other visitors. This year, they added a new pondless waterfall, as well as more trees, plantings, signage, and benches. In 1976, the Darien Historical Society and Darien High School students built the Middlesex, an authentic replica of the 18th century whaleboats. These were used by local patriots in the Revolutionary War to fight the British Navy in Long Island Sound. The Darien Historical Society is restoring this artifact so that it can be part of Darien's upcoming 2020 bicentennial celebrations. The live turtle exhibit continues to be the most popular attraction for children at the Darien Nature Center, which welcomes over 16,000 visits annually. A new forest and pond ecosystem will allow visitors to engage with several species of turtle that will live together in a 50-square-foot habitat that resembles their natural home.
This has been such a special collaboration between the Darien Nature Center and the Darien Foundation, because not only have they provided generous funding to us, but we've been able to meet with members of the foundation and our staff and talk about what is going to make the very best exhibit for the town of Darien, and we've really added value to the process by doing that.
The vast majority of food distributed by Person to Person is donated from local suppliers and businesses. A group of dedicated volunteers drives the brand new cargo van on these daily rounds, which each year account for more than $100,000 in collected food. Person to Person also has an extensive youth program, offering many Darien High School and middle school students their first experiences at volunteering.
Thanks to the Darien Foundation, we have a beautiful new van. We're very excited about it, not only because it's new and it's safe for those who are riding in it and driving and going to pick up all the food, but also it speaks to the support of the Darien Foundation, as well as speaks to what Person to Person does in the community.
For more than 20 years, the Darien Foundation has been investing in Darien, offering our town's youth, emergency services, and community organizations an avenue to pursue innovation and excellence. Collaboration with you, the members of our community, has been vital to our mission. Thank you for supporting the Darien Foundation.
Celebrating and supporting Darien athletes. That is a simple mission of the Darien Athletic Foundation. Broadcasting live from the field, DAF Media covers 125 games a year. All Darien teams, our youth, in our town, on our fields. Fields like the Center Oval and Upper Oval turfs, the JV softball field, and Stadium East, the longest turf in New England, all made possible by the Darien Athletic Foundation and its generous founders and donors. The Darien Athletic Foundation is not just committed to building our town's athletic infrastructure, it's improving the civic infrastructure for everyone to enjoy. The multimedia scoreboard, the snack bar pavilion, and the stadium lights, a $750,000 investment that makes Darien High School just the second school in Connecticut with LED lights. The Darien Athletic Foundation board is made up of local parents who know just how quickly it goes by. Its archives of more than 60,000 photos capture those precious moments of our young athletes as they strive to be their very best. The Darien Athletic Foundation has raised almost $9.5 million for our town and its kids, and it's not stopping there, as it continues to build a legacy for our youth as bright as their future, both on and off the field.
This broadcast is produced by DAF Media, a joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation. The production is staffed by student and adult volunteers from the town of Darien and southwestern Connecticut.
We are back on the DAF Media Network as we still have 24 minutes left to play. You're taking a look at the Darien youth greeting their football team back out to the field. A lot of football still left to be played. Darien with the 47-0 lead on Bridgeport Central. Braden Shank and Michael Mercine with you. So glad you could be with us. There's the Darien seniors making their last way out. On to the second strings, Declan Cunningham in the game, Clifton Sheldon, and a lot of other names that we will be calling here in the second half. Darien digging into their depth. The band, I think, left. Cheerleaders still going strong. A couple students sticking it out.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, this second half is going to be the type of thing that coaches go back to look at a film for a long time. This one's going to, be saved right at the top of people's files because we're about to see the Darien team of the future. A lot of young players, getting probably their debut on varsity today. And so we're going to see a new face and a new side and a future side of Darien.
It definitely will, and Darien has long been a program that relies on its depth to take them all the way and really be good for as long as they have, and is a reason that they've won 8 state championships, 7 FCIAC championships, because once they graduate guys, they have others coming up the pipeline that they can rely on. So it's going to be interesting what Darien goes to in this second half.
Yeah, Darien's been big about developing talent, and, that comes from coaching, and it comes from, building these big leads and seeing where people are in a real game, because you don't ever really get to see players playing in a real, younger players playing in a real varsity atmosphere until they're actually there.
That's a good point, and especially this game against Bridgeport Central. You have the big lead. Bridgeport's going to continue throwing their A game at you, giving guys like Bonilla, Villa, Buchanan, all those guys, they're going to keep giving them reps here, getting them. They still have 8 games after this left on their schedule, so a lot of football left for the Hilltoppers, and Darien also 8 games on their schedule. And it's a long season, so you want to get as many guys out there as possible.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think if you're Darien right now, the worst thing that can happen to you is injuries, of course. But not that you want to see penalties, but if you see penalties, it's things to work on as an offense. And I think the coaching staff, the second half is going to shape how practice looks for Darien next week.
So our camera operator, Griffin Banks, has fallen asleep to start the second half, but the ball will go out of play.
So here comes Darien's defense. And as Central comes out, they really need to show themselves, and they need to show the rest of their team that they have the drive, that even when you're down 47 points, you still can march down the field and you can score. Because, as I said, Central does not want to be shut out here. Even losing by 7-60 is better than losing by 60-0 or, say, 53-0. And so Central really needs to show that they can drive down the field and that they can play even against sophomores, even against second string. They need to score here for their own team morale.
You definitely do, and 47-0 is where we stand. Darien will start on the offense. My apologies, Bridgeport Central will start on the offense. Forgot who got the opening kick. Bonilla will lose the snap there. He'll be chased around by Carre, and he will be taken out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
For loss of 10.
That's not great right there, especially because Bonilla was scrambling and kind of ran himself out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than taking the sack. It's better than taking the hit, but one wonders why he didn't try to throw it away. I don't know if he could have even seen his receivers, though, with the amount of Darien defenders that were bearing down on him.
Bonilla was great last week against Bullard Haven. When he found himself in those situations, he would just throw it out, take the intentional grounding penalty, just not really get the sack. I don't think he was sacked at all last week against the Tigers, but now he's at 2nd and 20 on the 25-yard line. Bonilla will drop back, being pressured by Darien, and he will throw this one up, and just dropped by a Darien coach. Was looking for number 11, Murphy. But again, good pressure by Darien, number 58.
And that time he manages to toe the. Sorry about that. That's how he manages to toe the line and get the ball out, and he was risking another 10-yard loss.
Charlie Tom, Adam Nelson, and Walker Brown, the three that were pressuring Bonilla. And it's great to see Big Red back out on the football field after missing last season. I mean, he's just a character to have on the sideline. Really brings the energy to the locker room.
For those unaware, Big Red, Adam Nelson. I think he's one of those. He's such a big sideline piece because he's such a big part of the team. The team rallies around him. He may not get that much when it comes to starts, but I think he's such a big locker room presence that everyone on the team seems to love him.
So the flag's on it. The cheerleader's doing. I'm not really sure what that routine is called. Kind of throwing the pom-poms back to each other. But again, to give credit to the Darien cheerleaders sticking this one out in the 47-0 game, getting the fans rowdy, as it will be 3rd and 15 for the Hilltoppers. Bonilla and Buchanan in the backfield, twin receivers on the play. Here on the home opener of Darien Football 2022. Bonilla is going to throw it right over the middle, caught by Villa. And they're going to give it just about to the initial line of scrimmage at the 36-yard line. And Bridgeport Central will now have 4th and 10. That's something, Michael, looking at this Bridgeport Central team. In a way, they're on the up with numbers, if you will. The play on the field is slowly getting better for Bridgeport Central, but the roster numbers are growing. Last year, they only had 29 players on the roster. This year, up to 40. And they have a JV team for the first time in a while for Bridgeport Central. So the program is slowly making its way on the rise. And I found this quote by Coach Burchard really interesting when he said that you're not going to go from an 0-10 team to a state champion in 1 year. It's going to take a lot of time and growing, and that's exactly what this Hilltopper team is doing slowly every year, getting inch by inch better, as Bonilla will throw this one incomplete, turnover on downs to Darien. But Bridgeport has had a lot of great teams back a couple of years ago in 2010, 2009, 8, 7. They were going to the state playoffs. They won a couple FCIAC West titles, so they definitely have hit a height in the program. Had a little bit of a slump recently, but are trying to get right back there. And the Hilltoppers believe Coach Burchard is the guy to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Coach Burchard's very smart, right? You don't go from a team that loses 47-0 to a state champion. And so even building up to 40 players, that's the first in a long line of steps. You have to crawl, walk, run. You can't go straight from crawling to running. And so it looks like they're transitioning. They're starting to go upright, and they're starting to walk. And let's hope at some point in this game, they can walk their way down the field and score.
They definitely can. Bridgeport entering play with a 32-game losing streak that streaks all the way back to 2017. Their last win came on November 16th, 2017, when the team beat Fairfield Ludlow 46-44. So they've lost the last 32, looking to change that. And again, they have some games upcoming. They play Fairfield Ward at home, West Hill, McMahon, Harding, at Norwalk, at New Canaan. So they have some tough games, but they have some easier ones on the schedule, including the 100th meeting of the Battle of Bridgeport, the Warren Harding Presidents taking on Bridgeport Central at Kennedy Stadium Thanksgiving morning, as Sheldon will rush it. And I've always wondered that a place like John F. Kennedy Stadium, you can hold about 12,000 people. just how big that Thanksgiving game must be.
Oh, absolutely.
Warren Harding, Bridgeport Central, in a stadium that has hosted Major League Lacrosse championships, semi-professional football teams. I mean, we know Darien and New Canaan down here, but it's interesting just looking around at the other Thanksgiving matchups.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those Thanksgiving matchups, they attract crowds no matter what, right? And you look at Darien, New Canaan, or the Turkey Bowl for one example. When we play at, I forget the stadium in Stamford.
Boyle Stadium.
Thank you. When we play at Boyle, right? There's the stadiums fill out, and the energy is just so much bigger than anything at Darien or New Canaan that is produced. And so to get into a 12,000 person stadium, it's got to be incredible.
Cunningham hands it off to Sheldon. And he will be snubbed just about at the 17-yard line. Even though it's been a couple years since Darien New Canaan last played at Boyle Stadium. The past couple years at Darien, at New Canaan, now back at Darien this fall. And, it does suck a little bit that it's held, the tickets are mostly held to the students, the families, and not really as many people as possible trying to fill into the stadium. When you go to Boyle Stadium, you got thousands of people that are just coming day of, buying tickets at the gate, and it's a little bit of a bummer that you're not doing that anymore, but still, they sell these high schools out as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And, the Turkey Bowl, of course, you have to put preference to the students and then to the families of the players, but that's why we have DAF, right? And so these Turkey Bowls are going to get bigger and bigger. More people are going to be watching because towns grow, programs grow. And so I think we may go back to Boyle Stadium one day. I'm not really sure. I think that's up to, obviously, more than one ADs. But right now, I think the best alternative we have is DAF and watching from the comfort of your own home.
It will indeed. And to give you a little bit of a heads up, DAF will be broadcasting this year's Turkey Bowl. Darien New Canaan here Thanksgiving morning. I think I'm back on. I think you might be as well, Michael Mercine.
I've never done a Turkey Bowl before as an announcer, and so we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. I know we got Dylan DeRiso potentially coming back, a lot in store, but if you can't make it out Thanksgiving morning, you want to eat the turkey with the family, DAF Media has you covered, as we do for most of this football season. We'll be back again next Friday as Darien takes on Francis Maloney at the Darien High School Stadium Fields. Darien's got to go quick here. They only got 3 to snap. And they are going to call the delay a game. So delay a game on Darien. They huddle up, took a little longer than expected. And that will set them back a couple yards.
Definitely going to slow Darien's march down the field. I mean, they've already, when you see backups coming in, it turns less from a run to a march. And so taking penalties is going to slow down these kids trying to make an opportunity.
Cunningham takes it himself, will rush it up to the 17-yard line. Declan Cunningham, the junior, he has played quarterback essentially his entire life. And he's getting his first varsity appearance today, played JV last year. He's just a junior, so assumed the starter for next season for Darien. Of course, they also have Tommy Karczewski, the sophomore, who probably get called up.
It looks like we have the field goal unit coming out.
And here we go.
He's going to get his chance.
This is what people have been waiting for. Tucker Stevens, his second field goal attempt on the season.
See how it goes. I'm sure he's excited.
The kick, Stevens, the line drive, and
looks like I was just wide.
Just wide. Tucker not able to make that one, but it's still been a good kicking day for Tucker. He has made every PAT that the snap has been good on. Now 0-2 on the field goals, and he's just a sophomore. He's still got a lot of time ahead of him, and it's just a setback, but it's nothing major. You're going to keep getting repetitions, and part of a kicker's job is you're going to miss, and it's how do you recover?
How do you keep playing, right? It's it's the second game of his sophomore year, and I'm sure that Tiger Off wasn't drilling field goals in his sophomore year, and so who knows? I think Stevens has a lot of time, and not saying that, just missing 2 field goals is not the end of the world. Professional kickers miss 2 short field goals. Look at football last week, but I think that there's a lot of room for expansion. I think Tucker Stevens is the type of player who's dedicated and who's going to get better no matter what.
And it's still good to get him the experience here. And Bonilla will now drop back quickly, being pressured by number 53, Johnny Fay. And that one will be incomplete, but it's good to see Johnny Fay, a sophomore, out. His brother, Connor Fay, over at Army playing football. Darien High School, I don't know if it's class, but 205 career tackles for Darien High School. Connor Fay. He was one of the best to ever play for head coach Rob Trifone.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Rob Trifone had, some of the most athletic players this program's ever seen. Players like Andrew Stuber, players like Timmy Graham, players like any of the Minicuses. And so, I think to say Connor Fay is one of the most athletic, one of the most gifted players is true. He, among great players, he's still one of the greats.
He is indeed, and now Bridgeport Central will try on the 2nd and 10 for some yards. Bonilla will try the throw over the middle and just past the outreach of Scott. It is interesting. Bonilla doesn't have the most standard of throwing motions, but he's definitely had his fair share of throws, not really able to complete much of them, but he's going to keep on trying.
Yeah, as I'm saying, it looks like him and his wide receivers just aren't on the same page. I'm not sure if that's because Bonilla is being shaken by, the rush that Darien's been pushing, or if it's because his wide receivers aren't necessarily running the routes that they've been called. But some things, there's a disconnect somewhere, and I think that's going to be one of the big things that Central has to focus on, because getting the pass game going is going to be really important for future games.
It will indeed. Bridgeport Central, they will be welcoming Hartford Public next week at John F. Kennedy Stadium. Actually trying to think on the Hartford Public mascot. Could be one, as Bonilla is going to rush it all the way up to the 29-yard line. He'll be just short by 1. I think it's the Bulldogs. They'll be welcoming the Bulldogs of Hartford Public.
How do you know
next
that?
week. I know stuff.
There's some people I've met, and you're definitely one of them, who just has an encyclopedic knowledge of mascots.
Of course.
It just seems to work for some people, and I can even remember New Canaan's mascot if you put me on the spot. No, I can't. They're the Rams.
Are you serious?
No, they're the Rams. But I could tell you maybe Greenwich, but I wouldn't tell you. Maybe one of the Fairfields is they're like the Stallions, right? Is Ludlow the Stallions?
Okay. With that, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to send it to commercial after Michael Mercine embarrasses himself, ending out the 3rd quarter. We're going to take a break and be right back on the DAF Media Network.
And we are back after a short break between quarters, and I just got my enlightenment from my partner Braden here that it is the Mustangs, not the Stallions.
Yeah, I just want to give you some time to think about that and what you said at first, as you just saw the graphic on your screen. Next Friday, Darien Maloney at the Stadium Field. Lee Mercine will be back for that one. And you got to get this one. What's Maloney's
based
mascot?
Based on the graphic, I would assume the Spartans.
There we go. You got one
All
right. Could you even tell me where Maloney is?
Yeah, it's in Connecticut.
And there's a first down for Bridgeport Central,
Good
as
play.
Bonilla will take it himself. But seriously, though, can you give me a town, a guess of where you think Meriden is? Oh, Jesus.
I think Maloney's probably in Meriden.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, I'll get into my Maloney trivia for you next week when we have that. But the first down for Bridgeport Central, one of their first of the game. And we thank you for staying with us on the DAF Media Network, the joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation. Braden Shank and Michael Mercine with you. So glad you could be with us, spending your Saturday wherever you may be. It's always good to get high school football back in the Nutmeg State, and just week 2, but this season has really been shaping up to be a good one.
Oh, yeah, this season looks like it's going to be great. I think there's a lot more questions for Darien than normal, and that makes for a more exciting season.
Over the middle, caught by Villa. Only his 2nd reception. He had 2 receptions for 7 yards last week. Only his 2nd or 3rd today, and it picks up a couple.
And Bonilla still took a big hit there from, I'm not sure who it was, but, Bonilla's been getting hit hard, and, that's the tough thing for this Central offense is, as I said, they have to build that aggressive mentality, but it is hard to be aggressive when you're taking the hits like you are against this Darien defense. No matter who's playing this Darien defense, they're big, and now that the 2nd string players are coming in, they have a chip on their shoulder. They, have to prove themselves. And so you're going to be seeing hard hits from small players, and it's going to wear you down.
It definitely will. Bonilla has been doing a great job staying in there, taking the hits, staying in the game, and now he'll be in the backfield with the twin receivers on the play. Bonilla will now roll out, being pressured by Brown. Short little pass caught by Ethan Scott, the junior. Running back linebacker, but he makes the catch right there. Another returner for this Bridgeport Central team. They only had 7 returning starters from last year's team, and they've been playing a big role in today's match, just not able to get the red zone opportunities that they would like. But even looking at last week's game against Bullard Haven, Bridgeport Central, they didn't really have many red zone opportunities. They scored on a 47-yard touchdown catch and then a long run from somebody. So it's really just been the big plays that Bridgeport Central's been able to get, and they had that one back earlier in this game that for some reason was called off on the missed PAT, the fumbled PAT rather, that Central would have been off to the races. Still don't know exactly why.
That's why I like Central playing with the deep ball. You know, they as you said, they had a 47-yard touchdown pass and a large run, so they've had success with deep ball more than, you know, the short game and more than marching down the field.
Bonilla being pressured, he will rush and pick up a couple. Good pressure from Brent Kaiser and number 40 for Darien, Liam Calabro, 2 juniors. Or a sophomore and a junior, my apologies. Again, Darien digging into their depth, as it will be 4th and 4 for Bridgeport Central. A couple students hanging this one out. I respect that. I'm a little shocked that, actually, I guess I'm not really shocked that Bridgeport Central's keeping the offense out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, they got to do what they got to do to get points, I think. You know, especially with the stop last drive. Why not go for it with your offense?
And that might be something for Bridgeport Central, not necessarily going for the win at this point, but just playing for the reps, playing for the possessions, you know, getting as much opportunity as is possible, getting the offense running the plays, as now Bonilla will be in the backfield with Scott. And Bonilla will be quickly met with DeGraff before he will be taken down. Number 37, Stephen Carre.
Yeah, and you can see he's excited there. I mean, he's just a junior, but I don't think he's got to start so far. Definitely not last year as a sophomore. And so, you know, getting that hit, it's got to feel great as one of your first varsity tackles.
It does indeed, and the turnover on downs will give Darien the ball right back. And Declan Cunningham will drop back on the field with his offense. Clifton Sheldon joining him. Again, a Bridgeport Central team on the rise. They've hit some growing pains in their process of, you know, climbing back up, but they do still have a long season ahead of them. A lot of games that they have a chance to win, and at least it's a better start than what they had last year, having to play Darien and New Canaan back-to-back in weeks 1 and 2. I think they got outscored 98-0 in those first 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's tough. You don't, I mean, as Darien was thinking coming into this game, you don't want to go get shut out twice in the beginning of the year, because that, I was talking last week about setting the tone, and, you know, it's more than just the first game that sets the tone for the year. And so these are such very critical games, and you want to do well at the beginning, because when you do well at the beginning, even when you hit hard times at the middle of the season, you can still think back to how well you performed at the beginning of the year. And so taking 2 losses at the beginning of the year is never good for anybody's season.
Right, it's never good, and Darien will take their first time out in this one. The cheerleaders still out, getting the crowd going, even up 47-0.
Yeah, it looks like the student section's finally complete. Actually, there's still some.
There's still some people here, some faithfuls sticking it out. And I think some of them have already shifted their attention to next Friday, Darien Maloney, and the big game, and others still focusing on this game, supporting their teammates, their classmates, student athletes here in the early goings of the 2022 campaign.
Looks to be mostly sophomores and juniors out still in the student section. You know, kids who are probably rooting on their friends, as you said, their classmates, and maybe some brothers and sisters.
Well, that's creepy that you're just looking over at the student section and know what grade they're in.
I know small school. I know most people. I'm well connected.
Well, okay, then moving on from that, Darien Declan Cunningham will have the ball on the 40-yard line, handing it off to Clifton Shelton. I gotta stop saying that, Sheldon. My apologies. And he will stiff arm, make his way up to the 32-yard line, just shy of the first down, but it will be a 2nd and short for Bridgeport Central.
Yeah.
For Darien.
Really good job. You know, he was able to take that hit and move through, and that's exactly what you want to see from a running back trying to prove himself now.
Definitely is, and Darien will huddle up on this one. Bridgeport, historically, one of the bigger towns in Connecticut, actually the biggest town in the state of Connecticut, and it's kind of a shocker, you know, that these football teams, they fluctuate in numbers all across their schools. They have a lot of guys one year drop another, and, you know, it really just shows you that some towns in Fairfield County is a football town, and others, are trying to get up there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Stanford, I don't know any Stanford schools that are currently in L or double L, and so I mean, Stanford also a very big town, very fluctuating football numbers as well.
That one off to Sheldon. He'll make his way down to 10. But even the Vikings and the Black Knights on that one, they both have had good campaigns so far. I think I know they went 1-9 and 0-10 last year, but I think they might both be 1-0 to start 2022. And again, it's a 2022 campaign that no one really knew. Everybody graduated such a stacked class last season, so 2022 is kind of a mystery of what we were going to see. And it's good that both teams will get some underclassmen into this one.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I feel like most teams around the FCIAC had very big senior classes and very impactful senior classes. The only class I can think of that may not have been the same was New Canaan.
But they still lost some big guys. They lost Telesco, Warnerberg. They lost their quarterback. Don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. They had a good quarterback they lost last year. Or Solert they lost.
Oh, yeah, Solert. Well, Solert's a junior, isn't he?
No,
or senior this year.
I thought he was a senior last year, but I could be wrong on
I don't
that.
believe so. I believe he is
Henry
senior
Cunny.
this year.
That was the guy's name. They lost Cunny, Connor Bailey. They lost some guys, but you are right. New Canaan is the one team in the FCIAC that really returns a good foundation, if you will.
Yeah, with their coaching over in New Canaan is incredible, and I think they're really good at, as you said, building a good foundation and repeating and coming back every year and building back stronger.
Well, it helps when you have a guy that's been coaching there for 40-plus years,
Yeah.
and Lou Marinelli, the longest tenured coach in Connecticut high school football. It helps.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even of course, Coach Raffone wasn't here nearly as long as Coach Marinelli is still at New Canaan, right? But it was interesting to see at the height of when I was growing up, right, the height of the Darien rivalry was Marinelli versus Raffone, and to see two very tenured coaches, it's just nothing. There's nothing else like it.
Cunningham will take this one himself, and he will find some open space on the near side and be taken out at the 22-yard line. But you're right, Marinelli, Trifone, that was the big rivalry when they both were getting up there in the win numbers. And I think 2019, the last year that Turkey Bowl was seen before head coach Mike Forget took over.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a big chip on Forget's shoulder. I mean, I've been saying that a lot today. That seems to be my word of the day. For Coach Forget, because going up against Turkey Bowl is the biggest game of the season. It's our Super Bowl, basically. And so to go up against such a tenured coach and Coach Marinelli, that's got to be a challenge for Coach Forget, and it's sort of intimidating.
Yes, indeed. I'm not going to try to test your luck on something. I'm going to not humiliate yourself, but throw a Hail Mary on this. Lou Marinelli's the longest tenured head coach in the history of Connecticut. Can you name any other long tenured head coaches in the state of Connecticut? One of them you probably should get.
I should get that because I unfortunately cannot remember the name of the coach of St. Joe's, but I know he's very long tenured, and that showed last week.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We were calling the game last week, and you do not know the head coach's name of St. Joseph.
It was a long week.
That sounds like a long week. Joe Delavecchio, but that would be correct. He is
the Coach Delavecchio.
Third longest head coach, tenured head coach in the currently still in the state of Connecticut. You want to take a guess on number 2? I don't think you're going to get it, but.
Well, the way you say that, it's definitely not anywhere in the FCIAC.
Well, again, you got the one I was trying to get you to, trying to set you up to get.
I'm gonna go for one. How about, is there a coach up in New London? That's a long tenured.
No.
Just pull that out.
No.
I don't know who's second most.
North Haven.
Oh, that's close. Is it?
And that one will be handed off to Sheldon. He'll power his way through the 10. But that's always been a big rivalry on New Canaan's schedule, playing North Haven, because it's the two longest tenured head coaches in the state of Connecticut. And the Rams have the power on the field, but the coaches are two evenly matched teams. But I'm proud of you. You got number 3, though, Joe Delavecchio of St. Joseph. I mean, I'm not sure if I give it to you for not knowing his name, but.
You do like to put me on the spot, don't you?
I love to put you on the spot. I mean, I would put you on the spot with another one, but we have 2 minutes left in the game here. I mean, should I try it?
Go ahead.
All right, so there's 5 schools in Bridgeport. You want to take a guess how many of the 5 you can name?
Bridgeport Central.
That's one of them. You got the easy one.
I hope I would have got that one. And there's 2 technical schools.
There's 3 public schools, 2 private schools. As Sheldon's gonna get this one of the 5. And let's see, you have about 1:48 on the clock to come up with this.
feel like the Jeopardy music's playing in my head right now.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
All right, that might be copyrighted. That might be copyrighted. We don't want to get struck. I cannot think of them right now. I
Better
know
not be
one is
Googling it.
right on the tip of my tongue. One right on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Bullard Havens Colby. I think I pronounced that wrong. Well, going back in my notes for who Central played last.
So I
week.
just want to guess. So that's your guess. That's one school.
Wait, no, that's one school. I'm gonna give up.
So
I'm gonna surrender.
you named the two technical schools. It's Bullard Havens and Colby co-op football.
Yeah, yep.
So you named the two technical schools.
I knew that one.
You want to take a guess the two public schools? Because we said one of them.
We did say
air.
one of them on air. They're they play in the Battle of Bridgeport, and I cannot remember the name.
And Declan Cunningham will take the knee on it. It's the mystery of the Bridgeport schools, as Darien will just let the clock run off. Warren Harding.
Ah, there we go. Of course. Okay.
And there's one more. You want to take a guess?
No.
Bassick.
Bassick.
Those are the
I knew
five.
that. I just couldn't remember.
Anyway,
I think I knew that.
nonetheless, Darien will move into victory formation. Declan Cunningham will take the knee, and Darien will celebrate victory. Victorious in this one, 47-0 will be our final. A hard-fought game from Darien. They went up 33-0 in the first quarter and absolutely kept the pedal to the metal up until the end. And they will get their first win on the 2022 campaign.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Coach Forget, this is exactly what you wanted to. This is exactly how you wanted this game to look. Darien came out. First of all, they looked dominant, and secondly, they showed a lot of things that they can. They showed a lot of areas where they can improve. Right? Coach Forget got to see that penalties may be an issue. Coach Forget got to see how his younger players, how his second string players are gonna show up against other teams. And so, if you're Coach Forget, this is a great game. This is a victory on almost any front you can think of.
Definitely. Well, Darien, again, moves to 1-1, their first win on 2022. Their next game will be next Friday against the Maloney Spartans under the lights of the Darien High School Stadium Field. DAF Media will have you covered before they will take a road trip up to Fairfield Ward to play the
Mustangs.
Thank you, not the Stallions. And as for Bridgeport Central, they move to 0-2 on the season. They will host Hartford Public at home at JFK Stadium next week. I want to give one final shout-out to our DAF Media production crew doing a great job bringing the sights and sounds in this one. Cooper Kelly, James Foresta, Connor Russo, Liam Tomaszewski, Griffin Banks, Dalton Moss in the house, and our DAF Media advisor, Damian Andrew. I want to thank all of them for coming out on a Saturday. And I want to thank you, Michael, for coming back on the broadcast. I'll be stuck with you again next week for another week of football.
Love that.
But for our entire production crew, Michael Mercian saying so long from Darien High School. I've been Braden Shank, and this has been a production of the DAF Media Network, a joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation. We'll see you next week for Darien Maloney football.